Hello, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And in this segment, what I'm going over is at least capturing some part of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life. And just because today is Martin Luther King Day, I think it's many different ways we should celebrate and hope for better improved equity and further desegregation than what we see today. Obviously, we've come a long way and continuing to improve, but the work must continue. The next slide is a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King when he had a march to the Capitol and try to provide a speech for them, and it's an interesting speech. That's where the I Have a Dream speech came in, and there's a lot of interesting components to this. So, as an introduction, to put some context to all of this, when Brown versus Board of Education was passed, there was a long time before African Americans actually would go through desegregation. So there was a lot of work to do, and this is why Dr. Martin Luther King went to the Capitol and read the I Have a Dream speech. And it's not the Capitol, it's Lincoln Memorial where he gave his speech. So I want to start off by a quote that he actually made, and this was one of the most popular quotes: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." So let me read out the speech as much as I can. Some of this is covered up, so I might not be able to read that. Let's start. 50 years ago, a great American, in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negroes still are not free. 100 years ago, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today under these shameful conditions. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. And actually, the previous quote was from when he was in jail from Birmingham. So he said that some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair, I say to you today, my friends. So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning and hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. So this is most of the significant parts of the speech. There's other parts of the speech which can be made available in some of the if you look it up, you'll be able to find it. So there's a lot of different important pieces that we couldn't get over due to not having enough time. If you want to contact me, this is my contact information. Thank you for listening.